Pricing a job is indeed a multifaceted and individualized process. It demands a thorough understanding of the direct costs, which encompass materials and labor, as well as the indirect costs associated with business operations. Every contractor must establish their own pricing strategy based on their specific circumstances and unique business model. However, there exist several justifiable reasons why contractors might seek input from others regarding pricing. Firstly, industry benchmarking is crucial. Forums and similar platforms serve as valuable spaces where contractors can exchange ideas and share information, including pricing strategies. This facilitates gauging general market rates for comparable jobs, enabling contractors to identify potential discrepancies in their own pricing. Secondly, learning from experience is beneficial. Many seasoned contractors willingly share their knowledge and insights with those newer to the field. They may have encountered similar projects in the past and can offer valuable advice on pricing or other aspects of the project. Thirdly, validation plays a significant role. Contractors may seek input from others to validate their own pricing calculations. This process can bolster confidence in their figures and ensure that they are neither underestimating nor overestimating the true value of their work. Fourthly, competitive analysis is important. Contractors may also inquire about pricing to understand how their competitors are pricing similar jobs. This information assists them in positioning their own pricing competitively, helping them avoid being underbid. It is important to emphasize that contractors should never solely rely on someone else's pricing as their own. Instead, they must consider all relevant factors, including material costs, labor costs, and overhead. Ultimately, they should determine a price that aligns with their own unique business requirements. Seeking input from others can be a valuable aspect of the pricing process, but should not be the sole determinant of the final price. To determine accurate pricing, an electrical contractor, or anyone aspiring to be one, must independently ascertain the following factors. Firstly, what materials are needed and their associated costs for me. Secondly, what manpower expenses are involved, determining my man-hour cost. Thirdly, what are my burdens? Fourthly, what is my overhead? Fifthly, what is the cost for me to conduct business? Sixthly, what are my indirect costs? And seventhly, what profit percentage is needed to ensure profitability? Determining the appropriate pricing for electrical work requires a comprehensive understanding of various factors, primarily focusing on costs and desired profit margins. Here's a breakdown of the key elements involved. Firstly, material costs. This encompasses all materials required for the project, including wiring, conduit, boxes, devices, and any specialized equipment. Obtain accurate quotes from suppliers, considering potential price fluctuations and bulk discounts. Secondly, labor costs need to be considered. Calculate the hourly rate for each electrician involved, including wages, taxes, insurance, and benefits. Estimate the total number of labor hours required to complete the project, factoring in complexity, accessibility, and potential delays. Thirdly, overhead expenses are important. Allocate a portion of your company's overhead costs to the project. This includes rent, utilities, office supplies, vehicle expenses, insurance, and other administrative costs. Divide total overhead by the number of billable hours to determine an hourly overhead rate. Fourthly, profit margin needs to be considered. Determine your desired profit margin, which is the percentage of revenue remaining after deducting all costs. Profit margins vary depending on the type of project, market conditions, and competitive landscape. Common profit margins for electrical contractors range from 10.0% to 20.0%. Fifthly, contingency funds are crucial. Add a contingency to cover unexpected costs or potential errors in estimating. A contingency of 5.0% to 10.0% is generally recommended. Sixthly, market conditions. Research local market rates for similar electrical projects. Consider factors such as competition, demand, and geographic location. Adjust your pricing accordingly to remain competitive while maintaining profitability. Seventhly, project complexity. Factor in the complexity of the project, including difficult working conditions, specialized equipment requirements, and potential safety hazards. More complex projects may warrant higher rates. 8. Permits and inspections. Include the cost of permits and inspections required for the project. Research local regulations and fees to ensure accurate budgeting. 9. Warranty costs. Consider the cost of providing a warranty for your work. This includes potential repairs or replacements due to defects in materials or workmanship. Allocate a portion of your revenue to cover warranty expenses. 10. Payment terms need to be considered. Establish clear payment terms with the client, including deposit requirements, progress payments, and final payment schedule. Factor in the cost of financing if you offer extended payment terms. In order to calculate the total project cost and desired profit margin, add up all of the estimated costs, including materials, labor, overhead, contingency, permits, and warranty. Multiply the total cost by 1 plus your desired profit margin percentage. For example, if your total cost is $1,000 and your desired profit margin is 15.0%, your selling price would be $1,150. Here is a comprehensive breakdown of the key components that electrical contractors need to consider when determining their pricing strategies, ensuring they cover all costs and achieve a desired profit margin. Firstly, direct costs are important. These are the expenses directly attributable to a specific project. Material costs encompass all materials needed for the electrical work, such as wiring, conduits, electrical boxes, switches, outlets, lighting fixtures, and other hardware. Obtain accurate quotes from suppliers and factor in potential price fluctuations. Labor costs include wages, salaries, payroll taxes, workers' compensation insurance, and benefits for all electricians and other personnel directly involved in the project. Accurately estimate the number of labor hours required for each task and multiply it by the hourly rate. Subcontractor costs are also important. If you subcontract any portion of the work, such as trenching or specialized installations, include the cost of subcontractors in your direct costs. Equipment rental costs are also important. If you rent any equipment, such as trenchers, lifts, or generators, include the rental fees in your direct costs. Permits and fees are also an important consideration. Include the cost of all necessary permits and inspection fees required by local authorities. Secondly, indirect costs are crucial. These are expenses that cannot be directly attributed to a specific project but are necessary for running your business. Overhead costs include rent or mortgage payments for office or shop space, utilities such as electricity, water, and gas, insurance premiums, including general liability, property, and vehicle insurance, vehicle expenses, including fuel, maintenance, and repairs, office supplies and equipment, including computers, software, and printers, marketing and advertising expenses, professional fees such as accounting and legal services, and depreciation on equipment and vehicles. Administrative salaries include salaries and benefits for office staff such as bookkeepers, receptionists, and project managers. Thirdly, profit margin should be considered. This is the percentage of revenue that remains after deducting all direct and indirect costs. It represents the contractor's compensation for their risk, expertise, and investment in the business. Profit margins vary depending on the type of project, market conditions, and the contractor's business strategy. Fourthly, pricing strategies are crucial. Cost-plus pricing involves calculating all direct and indirect costs for a project and adding a markup to arrive at the selling price. This method ensures that all costs are covered and the desired profit margin is achieved. Competitive pricing is when pricing is based on what competitors are charging for similar projects. This method may be necessary to win bids but can squeeze profit margins if costs are not carefully managed. Value-based pricing is when pricing is based on the perceived value of the services provided to the customer. This method is often used for specialized or high-end projects where customers are willing to pay a premium for quality and expertise. Hourly rate pricing is when charging customers an hourly rate for labor plus the cost of materials. This method is commonly used for smaller projects or service calls where the scope of work is not clearly defined. Fifthly, estimating best practices should be considered. Thoroughly review project plans and specifications. Conduct a site visit to assess the scope of work, identify potential challenges, and take accurate measurements. Break down the project into individual tasks and estimate the time and materials required for each task. Use a consistent and accurate estimating process. Keep detailed records of past projects to track costs and identify areas for improvement. Seek input from experienced electricians and project managers. Review estimates with clients to ensure they understand the scope of work and the basis for the pricing. Sixthly, using software and tools can be beneficial. Estimating software can help contractors create accurate and professional-looking estimates quickly and efficiently. Project management software can help contractors track project costs, manage resources, and communicate with clients. Cost databases provide access to up-to-date pricing information for materials and labor, helping contractors create more accurate estimates. Seventhly, managing risk should be considered. Risk assessment is identifying and assessing potential risks associated with a project, such as delays, cost overruns, and safety hazards. Contingency planning is developing a plan to address potential risks and minimize their impact on the project. Insurance coverage is maintaining adequate insurance coverage to protect against financial losses due to accidents, injuries, or property damage. Eighthly, continuous improvement is important. Regularly review and analyze project costs to identify areas for improvement. Track key performance indicators such as profit margin, labor productivity, and customer satisfaction. Seek feedback from clients and employees to identify opportunities to improve your pricing and service delivery. Pricing electrical jobs effectively requires a combination of accurate cost estimation, strategic pricing strategies, and effective risk management. By following these guidelines, electrical contractors can ensure they are covering all costs, achieving a desired profit margin, and delivering value to their customers. Keep in mind the importance of adaptability and continuous learning in the electrical contracting industry. Market conditions, technology, and customer expectations are constantly evolving, requiring contractors to stay informed and adapt their pricing strategies accordingly. Seek out opportunities for professional development and training to enhance your knowledge and skills. Attend industry conferences and trade shows to network with other contractors and learn about new products and services. Read industry publications and online resources to stay up to date on the latest trends and best practices. Remember that pricing is not just about numbers, it's also about building relationships with your customers. Be transparent and communicative about your pricing process, and always strive to provide exceptional service and value. This will help you build trust with your customers and establish a long-term relationship. It is also a good idea to review and update your pricing regularly. Costs can change frequently, so it's important to review your pricing at least once a year, or more often if necessary. This will help ensure that you are always charging a fair price and that you are still making a profit. There are several factors that can affect the pricing of electrical work. Firstly, the scope of the project. The larger and more complex the project, the more it will cost. Secondly, the materials used affect pricing. The type and quality of materials used will also affect the price. Thirdly, labor costs are critical. The cost of labor will vary depending on the experience and skill of the electrician. Fourthly, overhead costs are important. Overhead costs such as rent, insurance, and utilities will also affect the price. Fifthly, profit margin is crucial. The contractor's profit margin will also affect the price. Ultimately, pricing electrical work is a complex process that requires careful consideration of all of these factors. By following these tips, you can ensure that you are charging a fair price and that you are still making a profit. There are several resources available to help electrical contractors with pricing. Firstly, online estimating tools. There are a number of online estimating tools that can help you estimate the cost of electrical work. Secondly, industry associations are helpful. Industry associations, such as the Independent Electrical Contractors (IC) and the National Electrical Contractors Association (NECA), can provide you with pricing data and other resources. Thirdly, experienced contractors can offer advice. Talk to experienced contractors in your area to get their advice on pricing. Remember, pricing electrical work is a complex process, but it is important to get it right. By following these tips and using the available resources, you can ensure that you are charging a fair price and that you are still making a profit.